Welcome to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever seen a horse who could talk? With your host, Louisa Barton, who really wants to be a famous rider. She really loves to ride fast. Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care.
Truth is, I have horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton. Enjoy the show.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Thank you for joining us on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Can you tell that Dancin Pete Rhoda, my co-host, was making me laugh before the before the show started? Thank you for joining us. We have a great time in the studio, you know, before we start, in the break.
It's a way better show before we start.
You should actually like us and subscribe and all of that, and especially on YouTube, because I think Isaac puts the blooper parts up on YouTube, and I hear they're quite amusing. We have a great lineup for the show. We have a tip this week from Dr. Adam Cayot regarding horses and heat. Imagine that, it's a little bit warm outside. We have Anne Usherwood-Bittner in the studio with us, and we are going to be talking a little bit about Royal Blessing Rescue and all the things that go on there.
And we have another segment from Linda Parelli with Happy Horse, Happy Life, and the one, the only, Tommy the Fence Turner, owner of Equifence Walk and Stop.
Walk and Stop, yes, which is always great advice and tips for fencing, so wonderful lineup. We also have some great things going on in and around the horse capital. On June the 18th, which is a Thursday, at 10 to 11:30 a.m.
Ocala Downtown Market.
We have our monthly CEP partners meeting. And it's usually at 2 o'clock for our partners to come, but we did this very specially because dear friends of ours, Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, who are a 501c3, do their Reading and Horses program at 10 o'clock on Thursdays through the 25th of July.
And the reason we're also doing it is because the Horse Talk Show is sponsoring that day.
That's right. And so is Equus TV Network. So this will be our Equine Initiative meeting presented by Piranha. We'll do the meeting after we have the Reading and Horses experience, but we really want our CEP partners to experience the reading program. And of course, the reading program is open to the public as well, and it's completely free. So you can come join us from 10 to 11 for that wonderful reading program. And if you're a CEP partner, please stay afterwards, because we will have our regular monthly meeting after that under the downtown market at 403 Southeast Osceola Avenue. So come and join us. Refreshments provided by Larson Hay,
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
And rumor has it they might be having Latinos en Masse provide us with lunch. And if they do, you know how yummy that is. So if you're a CEP partner and you're joining us for the meeting, you might get a delicious lunch from Larson Hay as well. What else have we got going on, Isaac? Oh, this will be epic.
Epic Dog and Pony Show.
Yes, International Dog Sport's first ever Florida Mobile Dock event. And they're doing it specially August 23rd to 25th because my birthday's on the 25th.
There you go.
And Ocala Dog Ranch and the Equine Performance Innovative Center have partnered together to bring this wonderful event to the Equine Performance Center at 5590 Northwest Highway 225. We're going to have some food trucks and vendors and music. And Dancin Pete Rhoda's going to be running around in a rodeo costume, calling everybody down with a hose.
Hosing everybody down. I'll be the fireman.
That's right. There are some spots open for vendors still. So if you're interested in actually getting your name out there, getting people familiar with you in the dog and the horse world, this is a phenomenal way to do it.
And you get to go tour Epic's beautiful facility.
Exactly, and International Dog Sports and Ocala Dog Ranch partnership up there for making sure we get the best in dog sports possible. Don't forget, another reminder about gentle carousels reading with horses. We covered that a little bit in the equine meeting, but this is a weekly event. For the summer, we have, of course, the 11th. If you're listening on Saturday morning on the Sky, sorry you missed it, but you didn't miss next week. So the 18th and the 25th. So we're very excited. Naturally, Florida Farrier Services, the sponsor for July 11th. So it's a wonderful opportunity to come and meet a horse and learn about reading and hear a great story and meet the people from Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses who we love. Great folks. Hot dogs are jumping. July 27th and 28th. Jump start at 9 a.m. at Ocala Dog Ranch. Pre-registration only. $22 a splash. Get your dog out there jumping. I love that. Hot dog. Ocala Dog Ranch. Don't miss it. July 27th and 28th.
Uh-oh, who's this?
Speaking of dogs. So Louisa Barton, host of the Horse Talk Show, was a little bit of a sucker for dogs. And
A little?
A little bit, yes. I do have a couple of rescue dogs already and a few rescue horses, and you know, I like rescuing things. So anyway.
You didn't call me.
Why would you have rescued me?
I would have rescued you.
Yeah, I think I needed it. So I was at the Humane Society on Saturday, and I did come home with a four-legged whose name was Marbles, but I call him Mr. Marbles because he's been through some things in his life, and I think he needed some added dignity. I did that with Flynn, my Mustang, who had been through quite a bit too, and I made him Mr. Flynn to give him some added dignity, and I think Mr. Marbles...
So you're like the Queen, except for you don't put Sir, you put Mr.
Yeah, it's like being knighted.
There you go.
Yeah, Mr. Marbles. So I hope everything goes really good with him. He's obviously been through some things, and just like horses, dogs need patience and time, and some of them have triggers. Usually,
And she called,
usually because of people.
and she called me. She called me yesterday and said, "Oh, I have a dog coming, and can you please ignore it?" And then she stopped, and I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Oh, never mind.
You'll ignore it.
Yeah. Well, that's how I deal with dogs. I do not go after a dog, and that's why, in my opinion, a lot of dogs have issues because, dog puppy, and everybody gets excited, and then that just hypes the dog up. So now it goes out into a group of people, and it thinks it's time to play and have all this fun. And I lived in Europe, in Germany. Your dog was at the restaurant, under the table, quiet, not saying a word, and nobody came up to...
Not saying a word?
Not saying a word. Not barking or having people come up.
My dogs don't say words anyway. Well, only to me. And
Only
I don't
to
tell
you.
People. So, I need an opinion on how I'm sitting.
Oh gosh, we're going to go over this.
So this is how I usually sit for the show. Okay? This is my usual position. If you're on the radio, you just...
Yeah, the radio people
You
are...
have to go to Facebook, or you're going to have to go to Equus TV Network and see. So this is how I usually sit. But Pete thinks I should sit like this. Okay, folks, you do have to go and watch that.
Yeah.
Isaac, do we have any other mentions? We're good on events? Did we cover everything? Oh, fantastic. We have officially electrical fire prevention by Pat Myers Electric. We are going to mention this a fair bit. We have had lately way too much incidents across the country of barn fires involving horses, and it's terribly heartbreaking and devastating. And we're not blaming anybody. We don't, in many cases, we don't even know what causes it. But we do know that we want to prevent it as much as we can.
So these are 6 things: installing a fire extinguisher, protecting wire with conduit. Thank
There you
you.
go. You're
Dust regulation, so you keep the dust down. Covers of electrical panels, and select closed motor fans for your fans, and avoid extension cords.
Yeah, extension cords are bad news. I see them all over barns all the time. So these are some advice and tips here from PatMyersElectric.com. We're going to keep reminding you, of course, you can get a free inspection with them of your barn and get it checked out. We're coming back with Dr. Adam Cayot from Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, and Anne from Royal Blessing Rescue, so stay with us.
See you in a few.
This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors, DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Piranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
Equestrian. It's not just a word but a title. It comes paired with hard work, discipline, and talent. LipChip is a company built by equestrians to make life at the barn a little easier. Introducing the Hoofling system, powered by LipChip, where a microchip becomes a secure key to unlock temperature, register for your next event, and keep track of required documents. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Equestrians, the future is here, and the future is LipChip.
The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing, offering great communication, quality fencing, and all done in a timely manner. Reliable service with horse safety in mind all the time. Also offering customized residential, vinyl, wood, aluminium, and chain link fences services. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe. For more information, find Equifence of Florida on Facebook now. Broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. We're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our TV broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancin Pete Rhoda. We also have a dear friend Anne from Royal Blessings Rescue with us, but we are going to start off with Dr. Adam Cayot and his tip of the week.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Cayot with Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care for your tip of the week. We're coming into the summer months here, and I would recommend that just be diligent of your horse's body temperature, and if they are outside, try to make sure they have a cool area to get to, whether that be a shade tree or you have a mister or something like that, because some of these horses, you will not know it, but may develop anhydrosis or become a non-sweater, and then they need a place to be able to cool off, and sometimes you won't notice that until a later time, or sometimes even if it's too late. So make sure during the summer months you have a cool place they can get into, either in a barn or under a tree, have plenty of water, and maybe even a mister. That can alleviate a lot of issues that may surprisingly arise.
Just to add to that, be diligent with your own heat as well, because you know it's hot out there, and I know that Anne and Pete can both speak to that because they are in it every day.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's lovely to have you on the show with us. Thank you. Thank you for being a godsend, a wonderful human being, and for all the amazing things you do.
You're welcome.
I'll try not to cry. She's amazing. So tell us a little bit about Royal Blessing Rescue. I know that you have been riding since you were a little girl, and I think in there somewhere I have a picture of you as a little girl. You have been around horses your whole life.
Yes. Ever since I was born. I raised all my children the same way.
I think that might be that picture right there. It's a couple years old.
Yeah, just a few. Yes, I've changed a bit since then.
So you were always around them. Your family were horse folks.
Yep. Yeah, that picture was taken in Vermont. I was born in Massachusetts, moved to Minnesota when I was in 3rd grade, stayed in that 40 below weather.
Wow.
Until about 16 years ago and moved to Florida.
You dug ponies and horses out of that snow as well then. I know, I had those days as well. Back in England it used to snow a fair bit. We used to have some big drifts. I don't think it snows nearly as much as it did, but it was cold.
Yes.
So you've had those cold.
Yeah.
You've crushed the top of the water trough a few times.
Many times, yes.
Have you?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Have you had that too, that experience?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes. It's fun, isn't it? Cold. No. Which do you want to be? Do you want to be suffocating in the heat, or do you want to be freezing?
When I used to travel, I used to travel. I'd go to South Dakota, and there'd be mornings where there was ice on the ground, and so I went through many winters trying to get back to Florida.
Yeah.
Now, in this, it's sad that we live in a world that we see the things we do, but it's so wonderful that we have people like you who do what you do. Tell us a little bit about, and if you're watching on Equus Television or if you're on Facebook, you can actually see some of these before and afters of these horses that Anne has worked with, and it's absolutely fantastic to see. I mean, it's sad to see before, but it's fantastic to see what you do. Tell us a little bit about this. Share some of these stories with us.
So a lot of the horses come from Levy and Marion County. The egg department will call and ask us if we have room to bring horses over. The minis, we got 8 at that time.
8 all at one time?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I'll try to keep my composure through most of it, because when I look at the pictures, it brings back a lot of memories.
I know. When I was in there with you looking at them, I could see that it made you emotional. I can understand.
Yeah. So some of them, when they come, you don't even know if they're going to survive another day. I've gone to pick up horses, put them in the trailer, pray that they're standing up when I get there, because if they're not, I know I have to call the vet, and that's really tough. Even if you've only had them for a couple hours, you fall in love with them the moment you get them. You see what they go through. This little pony was actually at an auction, all those blood marks from being ridden, and she couldn't even take a step. All 4 feet were rotated, and she took about 18 months, and our farrier got her completely sound. She is owned by a wonderful little girl in Wellington and will have an amazing life. She's 12 years old now. By the time she outgrows her, she'll be able to retire, and she will retire back to the rescue.
Oh, will she?
Yes, all the horses go with a contract and agreement that when they no longer can care for them or have a use for them, they come back to the rescue, and we see if they can be rehabilitated again and rehomed, or they join our sanctuary horses.
Wow. So some of these horses' body scores are 1s to 2s, maybe 3s at times, and then you see the transformation to 4s and 5s. So that's huge. We've gone over body scores for some people on the show, so that's what I was watching.
Yep.
So,
and we do a forage-based feed for them because they come with guts that are messed up. We all know that they need to eat 24 hours a day. So if they aren't being able to graze and have nourishment 24 hours a day, then it messes with their gut. And so we want to make sure that we don't bring them and throw a bunch of food at them because they were founder, they will colic. So we take it real slow. And
Arabella's an amazing, incredible. Arabella's like, I mean, they're all transformations, but these horses.
Was at a riding facility where they were letting kids come for kids camp all the time and using her that way, along with all the other horses that were there. These guys were syringe fed for 2 weeks before they took their first bite, laying down all the time. I had no idea if they were going to make it.
Wow.
So the this property that these guys came from was covered with carcasses. So we are grateful that we saved what we saved.
Oh my gosh, that's a horrible thing.
It is.
It's a horrible thing. When you see these things, it must be devastating. It must be hard.
It is. It's really hard. Hope is actually a wonderful story. She was at 3 auctions, and she actually had barbed wire embedded in one of her back legs. So she had barbed wire wrapped all the way around her, but it was embedded. And she's still with us. She's a sanctuary horse because her leg will never be great. She is sound as long as nobody's riding her. She's a Pasofino, but she had a baby. And when that baby was 5 months old, we chose to wean it to save another baby. So we had another Pasofino that had a baby, and at 2 weeks old, the mother almost passed. So we chose to take the baby away and give it to Hope, and she raised the second one. So she's a wonderful mommy and has a purpose in life. She raised 2 wonderful babies.
So you take in
Did she
these.
start milk? Did she start milk for
So
the
she
baby?
had milk from her first baby.
First baby.
And then the people that adopted that baby agreed to take him at 5 months. We took her for a ride, sweat her up really good, took that sweat and rubbed it all over the new baby, milked her, rubbed it over his face, and she accepted him.
Very good.
Isn't that amazing? So I take it you do get horses that come in that you don't know that they're pregnant, and
Right.
then they are.
We have
Because
no
you
idea.
don't know what the history is, so
Right.
you might suddenly realize that you have a pregnant horse.
That's right.
So you might be getting 2,
Yes.
and you don't know.
Yes.
It just
And they're so thin that you don't know. And one day they lay down and they're in labor and you're like, oh. So,
my goodness,
yeah,
it's a labor of love.
it is.
It
That
must
is
be
definitely-
incredible though to see the after and know that had you not been there, who knows what would have happened to that horse.
Yes. And the most largest joy is rehabilitating them and rehoming them, finding them a forever home, knowing that where they're going to go, we keep an eye on them. We make sure they get whatever they need. And as our contract states, if you don't do that, I can go with my trailer and pick them up and bring them back. Mary Legs actually came from the Sarasota circus. We've taken these horses here. This is our little circus tent behind them because all of these horses came from the Sarasota circus. And we were so happy to get them and give them great lives. And most of our mini horses work with our homeschooling children, our summer camp that we're in the middle of our last week right now because it's hot. And we have Pony Club on Thursday nights. And so they are used for that. And mostly children who have never been around horses are very fearful. And they have so much love to give. When you rehabilitate those minis, they are super sweet.
Yes, they are.
They are
I do
not.
know that. You're right.
They're sweet, they're lovable, they teach the kids to have confidence. The children learn how to groom them first.
Hold that
and-
thought, because we're going to ask you more about that.
Okay.
Because we have to go to break. But we're coming right back with Anne, and we're going to talk about camp and Pony Club and all the other wonderful things they do at Royal Blessing Rescue. So stay with us. This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Piranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch.
Faulty wiring is the leading cause of barn fires. I'm Pat with Pat Myers Electric. Equine facilities have special electrical needs. The knowledgeable and licensed team of electricians at Pat Myers Electric will ensure that you can achieve your vision for a beautiful, safe, and functional horse facility. From new construction to rewiring and updating, the Pat Myers Electric team is ready to jump in and help keep your horses safe. With a small farm of our own, we truly understand the unique concerns of the horse owner. Don't take chances. For all your current barn needs, go to patmyerselectric.com.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at seminolefeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care seeks to be a leading international veterinary practice that provides state-of-the-art veterinary care to their patients while fostering professional relationships with their clients that stand the test of time. For 24/7 and the best in equine care, check out Peterson and Smith at petersonsmith.com or like them on Facebook now for more information. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hey, this is Dr. Adaman. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancin Pete Rhoda from Complementary Horsemanship, and we have Anne from Royal Blessings Rescue here with us. We've been talking a lot about the great work that her and her team there do in rescuing these horses, and the before and afters are just incredible. Before we switch the topic up, I just want to say, I know it has to be very difficult, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but it has to be very difficult because I know you just want to feed those horses up as much as you can, but when you get a horse that's half starved, you have to do it so slowly, and then there's that feeling that you have of who's going to see this horse and think I did this, and that's just, I know it's so distressing because I've saved horses before that were skinny, and you just think, oh, I hope nobody thinks this horse has lived here for months on end. And the process is very slow, isn't it? You have to be very careful because you can't just feed them the way you want to feed them.
That's right.
Or you will make them sick.
Yep, that's right. And it is. You do worry about people, and we do get phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
What's that horse in the round head for? And what's his story? We do have a beautiful sign out at the end of our road saying Royal Blessing Rescue. So people know now. We didn't have that before.
Yes.
And so people know that it's a rescue, and that helps people calling and wondering why.
Why horses appear that way. And I know it's hard. And so I just ask our audience, if you're local and you're in that area and you see horses in that farm, you know that they are actually being saved and going on to wonderful future lives.
How many horses do you have at the farm?
Right now, I believe we have about 32 rescues.
Wow.
Yeah, we were up to 48, and numbers are going down, which is a good thing.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
we do get calls all the time, and that's another thing that's very hard to tell people that, no, you can't take their horse because you don't have room. So making sure that they are adopted out if they can be is a huge thing. We don't have a huge adoption fee. We just want to make sure they go to a really good home. The people that can take them can afford to care for them so they never wind up in the situation that they were in. We took a stallion in a couple of weeks ago and everybody's like, I want him. No, they don't leave until they're gelded. We don't need any more. We just don't. You know, if they're in a proper breeding facility, that's one thing. But all these backyard breeders, you take in 5, 6 at a time. They need to be gelded.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
no reason to have stallions out there unless they're in some sort of breeding program for a purpose.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Agreed. 100%.
Babies aren't that cute, and there's plenty at the auction. If you want a baby, go buy one, because all of those need to be rescued too.
They do, indeed. On the and not that this isn't positive, because it is positive, but it has obviously a sad side to it, but on a much more positive note, the stuff that you do for the children is so wonderful.
Thank you. They enjoy it. We teach safety first. Like these 2 children that are in this photo had never been around horses before. Their mom had, and she wanted them to have the opportunity. So last year they came to summer camp and they were very nervous. This year they got right on the little minis and had a wonderful time. We let them paint them. The minis enjoy that.
They love it.
And
yes,
we
they
put
do.
them in stalls where they can't see each other, so it's a little competition. And then they get little prizes. They get to vote themselves on who's got the best little cute pony, and they vote on that, and they get a little prize. So it's fun to do that. We also take them to the schools when the schools need them and let them paint them there too for the children. This is at one of the schools, and we took Little Black is what we call this guy. He's in his 30s.
Oh.
And there's a story.
Is he the one that wanders around?
Yep.
Yes, I love him. He's so cute.
Yeah, there's a story, a Dr. Seuss story called Little Black, and so we read the book for the children, and he loves being Little Black. And you can see he was painted so much that you couldn't even see the paint anymore. It was all the way to his skin, so he got a bath when he was done. But he just loves going and visiting the children, and he wanders around. This little guy, he had so much fun too. And this little guy is owned by Louisa. And she let us borrow him to take so that the kids
That's Monty.
an extra pony.
Monty the Mini.
Monty.
Montego Bay. He loves life when he's got kids around him. His favorite thing is to have kids around him.
Yes.
He thinks that's the best thing in the whole world. So
Great confidence builders because they're
so
just
kind.
love the kids.
yeah, they're so
Love
kind. They're kind. So you do summer camp through this week.
Yep, this is our last week. Last year we did 8 weeks and the heat got pretty hot. This year the heat came early. So,
It did indeed. Yes, it is.
so
It's
this is
toasty
our
out
last
there.
week. But Thursdays in the morning we usually have a program for anyone who does homeschooling so they can bring the kids and learn. And and they get to even ride. So this is the little girl that adopted her.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yep.
And this horse is
This is Pawnee.
Pawnee.
Yep.
Oh,
she's
that's
that
the
was
one we saw.
auction.
The
Yep,
auction before
the one
and
that had
after.
all
Wow.
4 feet rotated. Yep, and that little girl just loves her. So, and she's at camp this week.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. And so, as well as doing all of this, if you're listening on the radio, go and find us on Facebook or go to Equus TV and get the free download so you can see the pictures of these adorable little ponies and minis. That's fantastic. Now, in addition to that, in your spare time, you have boarders as well.
Yes. So we board and we rent out a house on the property to pay for the rescue, to help raise funds to feed all these animals and do their feed and pay for the vet bills because the vets are out usually 2 or 3 times a week. So when you have that many horses, the vet needs to come often, do a lot of evaluating so we know that we are headed the right way in their rehabilitation, not just physically but mentally. You know, they need to have medications a lot depending on what's going on, if they have ulcers, infections. So
do you take donations to pay for the...
we would love to get donations. Yeah, donations would be great. We are a 501c, so it is a tax write-off. So yeah, that would be wonderful for those to start coming in. But right now we pretty much raise all the money for the horses.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Or some big sponsors that we know. No hints, Pat. I mean, did I say that out loud?
You did.
He's actually been to our farm and evaluated our barn so that we can get safe fans in there and make sure our electric is perfect.
Oh,
Keep them all
Pat
safe.
Myers Electric. Look at you. Already
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know. Well, I suggested that I thought when Anne had tagged in one of the posts that we did on social media, I said, you should definitely talk to Pat because he'd come out there and at least give you like an overview of any concerns, And we all have them. I've been in some of the top barns in the country and there's things, it just is, that's why we call it a no judgment zone because, we're horse people and we do what we can to make our horses comfortable,
Right.
as comfortable as
And
possible.
you can't know everything.
No.
Yeah, that's why we have
And
experts.
I'm an electrician.
I know enough about electricity to stay away from it.
Yes.
I know enough to call Pat and say, would you please come and help me? That's the best way to go, right?
That's right.
So my horse, Flynn, and my mini, Monty, are staying with Anne at the moment, which is the second time they've stayed with you, right? They stayed with you between my farm and my farm because there was a period of time I needed to board them. And they're now staying with you because I'm seeding and fertilizing because I didn't have a blade of grass on my place when I bought it. So I'm reseeding and fertilizing this summertime. So my horses go for their summer camp at Royal Blessing Rescue. But one of the things I know is, other than Flynn being the fattest horse probably on the farm, because he's not. He was a rescue, but he's not. Other than that, I know he's in wonderful hands, and I know he's safe, and I know he's fed, and I know he's looked after and loved.
He's very loved.
And so that is huge.
Even our border horses are very loved, very loved. We have a lot of children who are on the spectrum that hang out at our farm, and those horses are very loved.
They are indeed. And what you do is wonderful. Royal Blessing Rescue. It's a 501c3. You can't think of a better cause. We have goodies for you.
Thank you. We can always use brushing.
I know, lots and lots, right? We'll be back in just a few minutes. We have Linda Parelli for you on the second half of the show, so stay with us. Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Equestrian. It's not just a word but a title. It comes paired with hard work, discipline, and talent. LipChip is a company built by equestrians to make life at the barn a little easier. Introducing the Hoofling system, powered by LipChip, where a microchip becomes a secure key to unlock temperature, register for your next event, and keep track of required documents. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Equestrians, the future is here, and the future is LipChip.
This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Center, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centers for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media.
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever heard of a horse that could talk? Listen to this. With your host, Louisa Barton. She's literally in love with every horse. Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. She's back in the saddle again. And now here's your host,
Pretty.
Louisa Barton! She's a Brit, she's got the gift of the gab, and her guests are fab.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show and the Equus Television Network, and we are at Happy Horse Haven, which seems very appropriate and a perfect spot to talk to none other than Linda Parelli. Dancin Pete is here with us also, and we're just going to have a candid little chat.
I think the biggest problem that we have is people are not engaged in learning, and to be good at anything, you need to learn. And how do you find a way to learn that's enjoyable and that it's fulfilling for you, not just I've got to study and it feels hard and it's pressure. And I think a lot of people are damaged learners from school, because you're made to feel like an idiot, and tests and people call your name out and it's like what's 1 and 1 is like, oh, I don't know. You can't think. There's so much mental emotional pressure.
Or you throw it out there and it's wrong.
It's
and
wrong, like, and then you're ridiculed for that.
There was a lot of that in riding school, even growing up. There was a lot of that. I had a tough riding instructor. Stuff.
Yeah. And so I think people get the learning knocked out of them, but that curiosity and that wanting and wanting to be really good. You know, it's like I always say, people don't care how good you are, but your horse does. He cares. He knows the difference. You know, it's like dancing, you know, and I think women get to experience this a lot more than men. When you have a good leader, it feels fantastic. But when you have dance with someone who doesn't really know how to lead and is a little clumsy, or then it's like, okay, I'm busy for the next dance, you know.
So, we were just talking about the importance of leadership yesterday.
Yeah,
you know, that is
it's huge.
Spot on. Yeah.
And I think a lot of women especially have trouble with the word leadership. I don't know if you've come across that, but they do, because people tend to think of leaders as a bad old boss that they had, or somebody that was a very negative kind of leader. So they think about a bully, you know, somebody who was really bossy bully. And it's like, that's not a leader, that's bossy or bully, you know, bullying. But I think leadership is a really important thing, and we have to learn that in every part of our lives, you know, not just with horses. We have to lead our own lives, and we have, you know, children or animals or, you know, staff, or, you know, we always have to be leaders in some way.
And I was going to say, you always let us speak our mind to you, you know, even if it wasn't comfortable, because you wanted that relationship, that connection, more than shut up and do what I tell you.
Yeah, yeah. And that I teach the same way in my program, obviously. And I, you know, some people ask me, how's my program different from what I used to do before? And it's quite different because, first of all, it's a horse training program more than a people training program. So I think it has a lot of application to every discipline very easily. You can put it in there and go, oh, I can see how all these behaviors need to be brought to a certain level before I can really excel in what I want to do. So I think that's the number one. But then also I have 3 ways that I train, because people say, you know, so you're using negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement. And I was like, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm having a conversation with my horse. You know, it's like having a conversation with you guys. You know, we ask questions, we listen to the answer. And so with a horse, I think connection is number 1. Number 2 is comfort. And I think a lot of people know that, you know, that they're comfort-seeking missiles, and they need to find a way to be comfortable from the aids to relieve themselves of pressure. And the third one is choice. So where we were talking about, you know, you can force a horse at phase 1 with just the smallest amount of pressure. That means they don't have a choice. You're just saying, you need to do it. Instead of going, you know, what do you think about this trailer? And the horse goes, nope. And you go, all right, come here. Let me ask you again, you know, and you just have this conversation instead of like saying, shut up and you have to get in, and I'm going to, you know, bring 10 of my friends and we're all going to get you in there somehow. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to call the trainer and he's going to get you. And if that doesn't work, we'll sedate you, you know. But so the conversation part, I think I've evolved more than anything in my program, just to go, how do you, and that's what it's called, is How to Talk Horse.
How to Talk Horse, I love that.
Yeah, how do you have a conversation with your horse? And, you know, from basic to very high levels.
Now, you can tell me to hush up, mind my own business if you want.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, and I don't mind that at all, but I'm going to ask this kind of for our audience. You brought up 30 years co-creating Parelli, obviously a huge part of your life, a big part of your life. A lot of people ask me, well, how's Linda? And I say, like, I know one thing about Linda for sure. She is excellent, because that's how Linda is. And she's a leader, and she will lead herself into her new life, and she will be brilliantly successful at everything she does. But divorce is a very, very real thing in this world, and it happens sadly much more. Another thing we were just talking about yesterday, it happens much more often than people probably even realize. And you are an example of somebody who just goes on brilliantly shining. And I think for people trying to get back on their feet and start again, you are probably one of the best examples. And it's not an easy transition for anybody.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's not easy because, you know, change is hard. And when everything you've done is now upside down and you can't do anything that you did before, you have to get pretty resourceful. And I think that's probably my strongest trait, is that I just go, okay, this is what it is, now what? You know, so I started planning my future immediately because I knew what the opposite would be, you know, and I didn't need to go there. Accept the change, and now take one step in front of the other, but also have a goal. You know, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't want to retire or go do something else. I'm passionate about this. And, you know, in some ways, I'm really lucky that what happened because I wouldn't have been able to create what I've created. So there's always a silver lining, but I'm doing great. And thank you for asking. And, you know, I've got a much quieter lifestyle now and I'm loving that. But I'm very active in my program and with my membership. And speaking of that whole divorce thing and, you know, life after 60 kind of stuff.
Which nobody will ever believe anyway, so.
Yeah, that's very nice.
28 isn't
no
old,
close-up. No close-ups. I started another program called Viva Verve, which means Long Live the Spirit. And it's for women, and in fact there's a few men in there, and it's about life in your 50s and 60s and beyond, and going through changes like this. And so I share what I went through and how I changed it, because I think personal example, you know, is always powerful. Instead of going, well, you should do this and you should do that. It's like, let me tell you what I do. Mm-hmm. And I know it works, and I can stand behind everything that I've done and give people a resource and some solace. And I've created a community around that. So there's, I don't know how many people in there now, but it must be getting close to 1,500, I think.
Goodness me. And
Yeah.
so how do people find that?
It's called Viva Verve, V-E-R-V-E. And it'll probably come up if you Google my name. Mm-hmm. But it's a free membership.
That's lovely.
And then there's a couple of paid options as well. But there's articles and all kinds of useful things that, you know, when you get to a certain age, how do you have to change some of the things you do? You know, because we all like to say, I'm never going to change. But there are some things that have to change. All life changes in spite of you, and now you have to take a different track.
Yes.
So it's a great community. It's very supportive, and there's a lot of resources in there, from articles to videos and
ways to just help people get through things.
Recipes, health, all kinds of things.
That's phenomenal.
Yep.
That's
I
fantastic.
know, I'm crazy.
No.
Like I should be relaxing.
No, you
Like
shouldn't.
this feels good out here.
I know. No.
When I sit down, I go, why am I not doing this?
You have way too many experiences and tools to help others to ever do that.
Yeah, I think it's my mission and it's my cause, you know. I can't let it go. And I'm so lucky to have that. And I wake up every morning excited and driven. You know, I got home last night at 1 a.m. from Carmel, and I just spent almost 7 days there and had a 3-day clinic, and it was just fantastic helping people. And, you know, I just love watching transformations and knowing that I can give people tools that they can be successful with.
I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's definitely the calling on your life. And I think, like you said, you've taken something that, you know, could have brought a lot of people to their knees to the point of not being able to carry on. And you've actually spun that and turned it into something positive for other people going through those experiences, and then taken what you've learned and all the knowledge you have and put it into something that you love. We have to wrap up this segment now with Linda Parelli, but we have much more with her, so make sure you tune in to the Horse Talk Show for more Linda.
Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equigreen, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance Innovative Center. The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing, offering great communication, quality fencing, and all done in a timely manner. Reliable service with horse safety in mind all the time. Also offering customized residential, vinyl, wood, aluminium, and chain link fences services. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe. For more information, find Equifence of Florida on Facebook now.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equigreen with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equigreen came to life. Equigreen, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Does your farm need a facelift? Has the harsh Florida climate left your barns, stable doors, and fences stained? J&S Pressure Washing has a professional team who can exceed your expectations and restore your farm to its former glory. Get rid of dust and cobwebs that can cause allergies and health issues for horses, and keep your horses safe by limiting fire hazards in the barn. J&S Pressure Washing can clean your house, your barns, your fences, and your driveway, and you can count on dependable and professional services. For more information, call Stephen at 352-502-5355.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
This is Charlotte Cannon, and you are listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Barnes, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Now we're taking it to Tommy the Fence Turner with a walk and stop.
And let's talk about the gate area, because this happened to me. You want to come in, we'll go on this side of it. So we have a gap between these boards.
Mm-hmm.
I was cantering on a loose rein, and my rein caught on that board by the post.
Yeah.
And we did a
quick turnaround.
No, we did a quick stop. We were going to canter at 20 miles an hour and to a zero stop in less than a second. And I went right over the top and rolled to my back. And the horse luckily didn't hurt itself, but I mean, it ripped the bridle apart. So I've always looked at those, like when we're riding, to have those things
so in an arena type setting or riding area, I would definitely try and keep that as smooth transition as possible. Just for that, for that purpose of getting caught. And, even if you're dealing with wire, I see a lot of times where the wire is ended. So if the wire's coming in from this side, the wire's ended here, or just wrapped slightly around and stapled off, whatever. The stapled off part doesn't bother me as much. Let's do at least a 3/4 wrap with that wire.
Okay.
If
well,
not,
I have one that I did that I
fully
want you to look
around
at.
and
Yes,
tied
sir.
back to itself, so in some form or fashion tied back to itself. It's going to create more strength for that post and less chances of somebody catching a sleeve, walking by, something sharp sticking out. At least let's get that wire at least
or
3/4
even
of
a
the way
horse
around.
catching a nose or
Sure,
near.
Yep.
All right, let's take a walk. Let's go that way.
This is a prime example of what we were talking about earlier. So you've got your wire on the outside of the boards. You got a broken board. You have to take the wire down to get to it. The Band-Aid. The Band-Aids are great. I love the Band-Aids. I don't. I don't.
You don't like scabbering?
Yeah, I mean, change the board. Just change the board. But yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. Being able to access the board with the wire properly installed on the post. Again, I know why this was done, because it was, afterthought. It was the old fence was already here, and they said, well, let's just put wire on it.
Right.
So, but this is what happens in the end when you just say, well, let's just put wire over top of it.
because to fix this, what am I going to have to do?
Well, you got to pull your staples out.
And I'm going to have to probably pull it.
2 posts either side to be able to get that wire back enough, change the board out, be able to slide the board back in. You're probably going to have to get on the other side. Once you do get your nails out, slide your board in, get it back, put the staples back in it. So
let's talk about this, since we have a broken board here that was just scabbered. So if you had this broke, would you just cut a board to just the next post to get by?
That is a great question. So let's talk about the reason fence boards are staggered.
Okay.
So you always see, you know, you've got a end of board here, solid board, end of board, solid board.
Okay.
Integrity. Those boards, when you stagger them that way, you've got a solid board, at least one solid board at every post.
Okay.
If you had a joint at, you know, all the way down, what you're allowing is that post to be able to move.
Okay.
So by having the staggered board, it allows some integrity to hold that post still.
So if we did enough of these where we cut them half boards, we're losing the integrity of our fence.
You're going to create weak points.
Yeah. And so I've seen it where somebody has done a few of them, and then the next thing you know, the horses are pushing them off because there's not that length or strength in the middle of one post.
Yep. So there is a reason why boards are staggered, and that's why.
Very good.
Integrity.
All right, let's walk over here.
Yeah. So we're going to come over here.
Don't look at the other scabber. All right, we got a broken board here with a scabber.
So now our wire is on the correct side of the boards with a broken board. Obviously, easier to change out and fix. So this is the proper install on wire is going to be behind the boards.
Now, would you staple it to the boards on the top, or is that not needed?
Not needed.
Okay.
If your wire is stretched properly, your bracing's built properly, there's no reason to staple your wire to the board.
So, because let's look at our brace here, because this is the only brace we really have that I remember on the property. There might be one further down. So, tell us about bracing. Since we have the wire, if we just had the boards, we don't need it, is what you said. Now, what would you say about this bracing?
Not improper, not a common used brace anymore. There still are a few people that will use this. You know, when it comes to this style bracing, this is really where your true integrity is here, is this notch. Not horrible. Could be better, but again, this is old.
Yes, sir.
Product moves. Will it work? Sure. It'll work. Depending on the soil and ground also.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is, you know, when you're talking about end braces, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Yes, sir.
There's I don't know, I can probably think of 10 different ways right now.
Some are better for the cat, and some are better for you, and some are better for both.
Correct. Is it wrong? No, not the way we build.
Right.
But it does work.
Gotcha. So what would you like to see if this was you building it?
So a standard H brace is very functional.
It's so you strong. Have a post that's straight across to both posts.
Yep. Using, yeah. So.
And then what's the thing that I always see now, since I've talked to you, is you need that wire that goes across.
So twitch wire.
Twitch wire.
Twitch wire, yep. So that's what connects and supports all of it. Just the strut going across here is not a brace. That's not doing anything. That's just creating both posts to move instead of the end post.
Gotcha.
So the twitch wire, what that does is starting, so you got, there's a king post, queen post, your strut.
Is that the jack post?
And a twitch wire.
Is that the jack post?
I mean, I guess if you wanted to call it that,
okay.
Kind of, yeah.
And then you have the
typically called a strut.
Then you have the ace going across.
Right. The twitch wire, though, is what holds it all together. So when you put that wire in there and you spin it, right, it pulls it tight. So now what it's doing is taking this post and it's making it one.
Okay.
So you're now pulling this whole brace and it's pushing that direction. When you put your wire here and at the bottom there, it's pushing all that way.
Very
when
good.
you attach your wire and stretch it, it pulls against that wire and creates one large post.
Gotcha.
So depth is important. Length is as important or more important.
Oh, wow.
Standard, if you do it by the books,
which you do,
the math says 2.5 times, your bracing should be 2.5 times the height of your wire.
Okay.
So on a 48-inch wire, you should have a 10-foot brace.
Wow, math's coming. You went to school and learned math.
I did.
And now you're using it.
I did.
Very good.
School is important.
Yeah, important.
So, like I said, typically an 8-foot brace is sufficient. It's going to work. It's going to work fine. There's nothing.
Overkill is better than underkill.
10 foot is the true math numbers.
Gotcha. And what about when I see some that have the double, they have two side by side? Is that just overkill?
That's getting to your 10-foot bracing, right? That's where that's getting.
Okay, there you go.
In the middle of a line, if you've got a long run,
right,
you're going to see a 3-pole brace.
Okay.
So that's because you're going to end at the post in the middle.
Right.
Right, and you're going to start again from the post in the middle.
Okay.
So that's creating your end point. So you've got a king post, a queen, and a queen, your 2 struts, and your twitch wire is going to go from center. Sorry, going to go from top of queen to bottom of king.
King, okay. And then
on both sides.
Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equigreen, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center.
Cut through the noise and distinguish your business with a custom vehicle wrap from Smash Wraps. Get noticed with eye-catching vehicle wraps that showcase your brand's identity and earn you more business. If you're looking for a custom-designed vinyl wrap for horse trailers, box trucks, cars, or pickup trucks, for a single fleet vehicle, or for 100, no job is too big for the Smash Wraps team. Make your appointment to set your business apart today. Find us on social media or at smashwraps.com. And remember, don't just wrap it, smash wrap it.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Center, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centers for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aquapacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com. or find them on social media.
This show was brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the final segment of the Horse Talk Show for this week, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms. They're our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancin Pete Rhoda from Complementary Horsemanship, and we have Anne here from Royal Blessing Rescue. We have had a couple of wonderful segments with her talking about her program. Please remember that they are a 501c3 and they are doing great work in this county and surrounding areas helping to rescue horses. And I have certainly seen the before and after and can endorse that and say what an absolutely wonderful program she's running. So help when you can. When it gets towards the end of the year and you're looking at tax time and you want to make a donation, they would be a wonderful place to make one. Now we are going to take it to Dancin Pete Roeder, and we are going to do his tip of the week. Here
Dancin Pete's tip of the week, brought to you by Complementary Horsemanship. This tip is sponsored by WildlifeWorksLLC.com for your unwanted wild critters removal.
That's brought to you by Wildlife Works, by the way. Did you see the creatures?
Yeah, we enjoy the Wildlife Works. So the tip of the week
is sit properly.
Sit properly, yes. Tip of the week is wait until they relax before you ask them to trot. So I was with a student, and this got kind of funny, and she was riding, and the horse had broke down to the walk, and she immediately wanted to ask to go to trot, and I said, no, wait until she relaxes before you ask her to go back to the trot. Because what people don't realize is the horse went downward transition in kind of a, I don't know what to do, and then you immediately say go. Now you just took that anxiety and just built it. And so we're teaching her to maintain her gait. So when she goes down, I go, okay, wait until she relaxes. Good, now ask again. So we're not sitting there going, you've got to go, you got to go. And that's where I always tell people is I want to teach a horse to get that trot because they want to trot and they want to maintain that gait. Just like you or me, if somebody asked you to do something and you took a second and kind of was getting kind of frustrated and you had to take a break, and somebody goes, get back to that work, and you'd be like, and it would make it worse. Or they go, okay, Pete's relaxed now I can ask him again. And this actually, what my student said, this works with women too, right, Pete? And I said, yes, that's probably a good idea to wait for her to relax before you ask her again.
To trot?
That's right. So that's my tip of the week.
And your thoughts?
I agree 100%. Wait till they relax the horse.
Yeah, did you add the horse in there? All right, we have Neil from Ocala Dog Ranch. The Horse Talk Show goes to the dogs at Ocala Dog Ranch.
Neil Hennessy, the owner of Ocala Dog Ranch, will work for food, or maybe not. Don't forget, dogs are the ones that decide what treats are best for them. You might think that that delicious filet mignon is the best thing your dog has, and your dog likes string beans. It's going to work better for string beans than filet mignon. So when you're working with your dog, have 3 kinds of treats available: low value, medium value, and high value. Don't forget, your dog's going to decide which is the high value. And then when you're just working and you get a kind of attitude from your dog, give them the low grade treat. If you get a spectacular result from the dog, give them the high grade treat. And don't be scared to give them lots of treats. If you're worried about making Fido chubby, use his dinner for a treat reward, or don't give him dinner that night after you've worked them for 30 minutes, giving them a whole bunch of treats.
Neil, what a wonderful guy. He knows all things about dogs, and very interesting that perhaps you think a juicy piece of steak is what your dog wants, or some kind of dog treat, and as Isaac said, maybe he wants a green bean.
Or like if you're Louisa, chocolate?
English chocolate.
English chocolate?
English chocolate.
And that's why Neil is her best friend, because he brings English chocolate all the time.
Neil's my best friend because he is awesome, without a shadow of a doubt. I have a circle of wonderful people I'm surrounded with that care for my animals when I can't. So I'm very, very blessed in that and fortunate. So, and speaking of people who take wonderful care of animals, here is Dr. Alberto Rullan. Hopefully. He should be coming up here in just a second from Equine Performance Innovative Center. His tip actually this week is about your horse needs to move. And obviously we were talking to Anne earlier about horses that come in injured or hurt or rescues. We aren't talking about animals that can't, obviously, for some health concern, but horses need to move, and we see lots of cases of times when horses are need to keep moving even though they can't, which is why Equine Performance Innovative Center is so
And here
awesome.
he comes with his tip.
We got it. Here it is. Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show with Dr. Alberto Rullan from the Equine Performance Innovative Center, and he has your equine rehab tip of the week.
What I want to tell you today for this week is that horses need to move. Horses have to move, whether it's in the pool or on the water treadmill. Doesn't matter how bad that horse is. If it doesn't have a fracture or if it doesn't have a broken tendon, the horse needs to move.
Moving, very important. That is incredible. They have the pool, they have the treadmill, they have so many opportunities to keep horses moving. When either you're away out of town and they can't be ridden, you need to keep them conditioned, or if the horse is injured and can't be actually ridden in a conventional way, there's a way that you can keep them moving, and keeping that horse moving is so important because there's so many concerns about laminitis when horses are for some reason unable to do their normal routine. So that is a fantastic way, which brings me to the Epic Dog and Pony event, because you can see it all in August if you visit. And then because we mentioned Ocala Dog Ranch, don't forget that July 27th and 28th is Hot Dogs Are Jumping. And you know what?
Dogs are jumping.
Yes, just because you don't necessarily have a dog that jumps, you can go and watch it, or even take your dog to kind of see what's going on. It's such a fun sport, and a lot of people really didn't know about it.
And when it's this hot, it'd be a lot of fun to have the dog jump in the water and splash you and maybe get a little bit wet so that you can cool off.
Yeah, it's a great way to cool off. It's a lot of fun. So next week, we're actually going to be talking on the show about some actual mounted mounted police that's coming up in January. I'm excited to have this. We don't think we've ever had anything like this here. So we're actually going to have the folks that are running that event in the studio, and I'm excited to share all of that with you. I think it's going to be a really, really great event. I think we might also have Shane from Smash Wraps in the studio next week, hopefully, to do an intro interview so you can hear all about what they can do. They can wrap a horse trailer. You saw some of the photos I shared wrapping the trailer for the farriers, for Florida Farrier School Service. They can wrap anything. They can wrap trucks, fleets, vans, cars, horse trailers, whatever, food trucks. I saw them wrapping a food truck. Golf carts. Yes, they can wrap it all. So their service is incredible, very fast, very professional. Their design work is great, and they're wonderful folks to work with. So we'll hopefully get a chance to meet Shane in person in the studio next week, and then we'll be talking about the mounted police event in January. So there's a lot going on, of course, trying to keep up with it all, but we'll do that here for you at the show. So I want to thank Anne so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being with us.
having me.
Thank you for everything that you do for the horse world and beyond, and for me. You're such a blessing. Dancin Pete. Last words this week.
Last words this week?
Yes.
Have fun with your horses and make sure you stay cool.
Yeah. That was the sound. So whether you are in Ocala, Marion County, the horse capital of the world, or not, happy horsing around. Until next week.
See ya.